Loneliness had long been Bo Walker's only companion, a rugged lumberjack tucked away in the wilds of the South Dakota Territory. Near the shadows of the Black Hills, he moved through the pines like part of the forest itself. It was October of 1876, and the war with the Lakotas still flared beyond the ridge. Smoke twisted upward in angry spirals, tinting the twilight sky red like a wound refusing to close. Though gunfire had ceased hours before, the woods still moaned with unrest, whispering of ruin and ghosts not yet settled. Walker strode through the underbrush with a bundle of firewood. Cradled in his arms, a hatchet slung across his back. The air was bitter and sharp, pressing cold against his skin. He was returning to his cabin before the frost hardened, before the darkness made the woods treacherous. He no longer pondered why he chose solitude. It had long ago chosen him. War had stripped him of more than blood brothers. It had stolen the comfort of conversation, the sound of laughter. Halfway across a ravine, a sound halted him. It wasn't an animal's cry, nor whined. It was wetter, softer, agonizing. He froze, dropped the wood, crouched low, eyes scanning the smoky slope. Then came the noise again, a rough exhale, followed by a fractured moan. Something wounded, alive. He descended toward the stream, stepping over burnt brush and ash-smeared limbs. The stench of singed horsehair and human flesh stung his nose. Through the smoke, he saw her crumpled near the stream's edge, slumped against blackened stones. Her dress, shredded and scorched, clung to her blood-caked frame, legs bent unnaturally beneath her. Her arm held her barely above the dirt. Her eyes wide, blazing, defiant, locked on him. Bo approached slowly, hands up. "Are you alive?" She coughed, winced, then spat words like embers. "Go away. I'd rather die than be touched by your kind." Her voice was cracked but fierce. One trembling hand twitched toward a jagged rock. She didn't have the strength to wield it. Bo didn't flinch. He didn't pity her either. He looked at her with the weary steadiness of a man who'd seen too much pain to fear it anymore. "I won't touch you unless you ask," he said. "But I won't leave you here." She stared hard. Mud streaked her cheek. Dried blood marked her brow. Her hands clenched around nothing. Bo slid off his coat and placed it beside her. "There's frost coming tonight. If you want to die, it'll be slow, cold. I don't need your mercy." She hissed. "You're not getting mercy," he said. "You're getting a choice." Her fire flickered. Not out, just uncertain. Her lips parted. A breath escaping strained, like surrender. Bo opened his satchel, pulled out a wool blanket, unfolded it slowly, never breaking eye contact. "I'm going to wrap you. Scream, curse, claw at me if you like, but I'm not letting you freeze." She said nothing. He took silence as permission. Bo knelt, gentle as dusk. He worked the blanket beneath her, careful not to jar her mangled legs. She stifled a cry, eyes watering, but didn't resist. When he lifted her, her body went stiff as timber, then slumped, yielding, helpless, not from weakness, but from the bitter truth her legs no longer answered. He wrapped her tightly, draped his coat over her chest, and turned uphill. Behind them, the trees smoldered, but ahead, the cabin waited quiet, warm. For the first time in years, Bo Walker carried not just firewood, but a fragment of the world back with him. The cabin nestled beneath the pine ridge, its timbers creaking in the wind like an old man's restless sleep. Bo moved inside like a phantom, deliberate, silent, certain. He spoke little, she spoke less. For 2 days, she lay still near the hearth, cocooned in quilts. Her name, he learned later, was Ayoka. Her legs were bound in linen and balm. Her arms, though frail, gripped with silent fury. Her eyes, sharp as obsidian, watched him like a hawk. She refused food, refused help, turned her face to the wall when he approached, closed her eyes as if willing him away. Bo didn't press. He cleaned her wounds, fetched water, stoked the fire so it smoked less. Every night he left a bowl of stew near her cot. Every morning he poured it out untouched. Still, she watched him from the corners of her eyes as he worked outside, chopping wood, lighting the oil lamp, pulling out an old grammar reader from a drawer. He never offered it, just left it near her, along with a notebook and graphite. Pencil. She didn't touch it. Not yet. The third night, the wind howled like mourning wolves. Bo added a log to the fire and sat across from her. She lay awake, fingers twitching beneath the blanket. He opened the book and read aloud. The words were simple, rhythmic like a child's prayer, not scripture, but sacred in cadence. The snow falls, the hunter waits, the world grows quiet, but the heart remembers warmth. 3 lines. Then he paused. Ayoka stared at the ceiling. Her voice, brittle as ice, cut through the silence. You think your words mean anything? He didn't look up. I think they mean something to someone. Words won't make me walk again. No, he said, closing the book. But they might help you stand inside. She looked at him not with contempt, but with calculation. Then, without warning, she flung the book across the room. It hit the wall and fell open. Pages splayed. Bo didn't flinch. He picked it up, placed it back on the table. I don't care if you hate me, he said calmly. I don't care if you throw things, but you're not dead. And that means you're still allowed to learn, even if it's just how to curse me better. In English, her lips twitched almost a smile. Bo nodded, turned back to the fire. The next morning, the pencil had moved. The book was no longer on the floor. Days stretched. Snow softened, not in temperature, but in tone. The cabin grew no warmer, but something else thawed the silence between them. Bo said little, just lived, cooked, chopped, fixed, and Ayoka, quietly, began threading herself into his rhythm. One morning, he laid parchment on the table beside her and knelt. I want to show you something. He wrote her name, Ahyoka, then turned the paper. Your name, in English. She studied the letters, didn't reach for the pencil. That name is not yours to shape, she murmured. I'm not shaping it, he said. Just showing how it looks here. It's still yours, still strong. She said nothing. But the next day, Bo returned to find the paper turned sideways. Her letters, jagged and unsure. Scrawled, A. He didn't mention it. Just placed a warm mug of tea beside the page. Each day, she wrote a little more. Tree, fire, wolf. He gave no lessons, only left examples, letting her discover the rest. She listened now. To his words, to weather, to tool names and bird calls. She whispered them to herself when she thought he was outside. She hadn't yet believed in her legs, but she had started to believe in her voice. Bo responded with quiet tasks. A cloth to fold, firewood to stack, a butter churn low enough for her arms. He never asked, just made it possible. She rarely thanked him, but one evening, she whispered, Thank you. He turned, firelight in his eyes. You're welcome. A week later, snow melted into muddy slush. Bo worked shirtless, repairing the chicken coop. Ayoka, seated by the window, watched. Then came a crash, a splash, a curse. He'd stumbled backward into the rain barrel, soaked past his knees. For one breath, the world held still. Then she laughed. Not cruel, not sarcastic, full, alive. Bo froze, turned, face red. Well, he said, grinning, glad to know I'm good for something. You always were. She said, soft but clear. The wind whispered through the ridge. Winter receded. Ayoka moved. She never said she would, but Bo returned one morning to find the stool out of place, the blanket pushed aside, a spoon on the floor. She had tried and almost reached the table. He said nothing, picked up the spoon, cleaned it. The next day, she sat in the center of the room, breath shallow, palms scraped. He asked nothing, lifted her gently, said nothing about the bruises. That night, Bo carved something at his bench. For 3 days, he sawed and sanded. When she awoke, she found it beside her cot, a wooden support frame with padded leather handles. It's not much, he said, not looking up, but it'll help. She used it, slowly, painfully, but she rose, arms trembling, shoulders aching. She stood. Then she smiled. Every day, she practiced, and every day, she watched Bo more closely, not with distrust, but understanding. How he shaved, cleaned, cooked, how he always served her plate first. She never told him she noticed. One night, he brought something wrapped in deerskin, moccasins, her size. Someday, he whispered, you might need these. Why? She asked. Because I believe you can. That night, she traced the stitching and wept, not from grief, from hope. Then the wind returned, fierce, cold, Bo reinforced. The shudders, Ayoka trained harder. But the line they hadn't crossed came without warning. She found the salve tin in her basket. I'm not your patient, she snapped. I'm not broken. I never said you were. Then stop treating me like I am. Bo wiped his hands. I saw your hands cracking. Thought it might help. Her jaw tightened. You don't get to fix me. He nodded. Quiet. The next day, the tin was gone. In its place, a pair of wool gloves, inside one. A note, just in case you get cold. She didn't smile, but she wore them. That evening, the cabin dimmed. Venison stood between them. Bo read from an old paper news from the southern front. Another Lakota encampment taken. She said nothing. They say it was self-defense. Still silence. What do you think? She looked up, sharp. I think your people call everything self-defense when they want more land. And yours never killed to protect it. Spoon slammed down. We fought for our dead. You fought for gold. He stood, not angry, just tired. I didn't come here to fight. Then why are you here at all? The question lingered like smoke. He walked outside, sat on the bench, shut the door behind him. Ayoka stared, breath shaking. Then she moved, pushed the quilt aside, grabbed the frame, crawled to the door. 10 minutes, arms trembling. She opened it. He slept on the bench, snow gathering in his hair. She covered him with a fur cloak, sat beside him, not because she had to, because she chose to. Morning came. Bo stirred. She was there upright, head against his shoulder. He placed his hand over hers. She didn't move. Then came the soldiers, dust, flags, rifles, orders shouted in English. She froze. He stepped out. Bo Walker, the officer barked, "You're under arrest for harboring an enemy." She crawled to the porch, tried to stop them, couldn't. He looked back once. Don't let them take what you've rebuilt. Then he was gone. The cabin felt colder than death, but something in her snapped. She rose, not with legs but with fire. 3 steps, then 5. She reached his jacket, sobbed into it, then made a vow. She would go, find him. The world had taken enough. She rode in a cart, clutching a cane, wrapped in Bo's coat, reached the fort by noon. I've come for the man you took, she said. And who are you to him? They asked. She showed the note, her name in both hands. Lieutenant Graham, the man who'd taken Bo, appeared. She met his eyes. He didn't save a Lakota. He saved a person. He listened, really listened, then nodded, brought Bo out. They left together. Spring arrived. Wildflowers bloomed. Birds sang. Ayoka walked, not behind, but ahead steadily. Moccasins on her feet. The cabin had changed to a porch, a garden. A little girl named Nakoma found orphaned behind a fever tent. They brought her home. She called Bo Appa, Ayoka Ena. Love had done what blood could not. Bo handed her a preacher's letter. Marry me. She smiled. I already have. Every day they signed the paper. A wedding, just them. A bead necklace, a tight shirt. A preacher who forgot the words, but meant every one. And Bo whispered, hand on her chest, you didn't walk into my life. You carried us both. That night, Nakoma played a tune on the flute Bo carved. No lyrics, just scars and hope in every note. On land once torn by war, they made something braver than survival. They made a home. They made love real. And out here, in the wild, that was the only story that mattered.